Okay, hello everyone. Hope you all are doing good. Uh, First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this session, which is for the strategic positioning for Indian CAs in Singapore. This is the 13th webinar in the series of Global Udan, and we are very fortunate that sitting in our offices or wherever we are virtually flying everywhere and exploring the opportunities which are available for us. So today it's turn for all of us to visit Singapore, and we have wonderful people here joining us from the Singapore chapter. So let me just start with their introduction and a brief about the session. So normally Singapore, the Lion City, often features in our travel bucket list. A perfect holiday destination with Marina Bay, Sentosa, Orchid Road. I hope the list is so on and the visuals are very much clear. But I don't want everyone to go into holiday mood. We want to stay here and learn a lot about our professional opportunities. So today let's explore a different itinerary altogether. One doesn't end with a return flight. Instead, it begins a journey of global career and professional growth for Indian chartered accountants. So let's talk about some facts and figures to start with. Singapore is not just a tourist magnet, it's an international business powerhouse. It's ranked one in Asia for ease of doing business by World Bank, a global financial and innovation hub, which is a home to over 4 lakh companies. 7,000 plus multinational corporations have headquarters in Singapore. It has one of the lowest corporate taxes, that is tax rates, that is 17%, just 17%, with a highly transparent regulatory environment. Singapore is managing 5.4 trillion in assets under management as per the MAS report 2024, and it is emerging as a major hub, global family office hub. So today we are joined by three phenomenal professionals who have lived this transformation, shaped institutions, built cross-border businesses, and led from the front. So we have amongst us CA Ayush Yagnik, CA Kala Krishnamurthy ji, and CA Anuradha Shroff. So I'm truly honored to moderate this power-packed panel. My name is CA Divya Somani, and I am from Ajmer, Rajasthan. So I'm truly honored to moderate this power-packed panel session as we unfold the strategy for Indian CAs to establish a global footprint starting right here in Singapore. So, okay, let's fasten our seat belts and get ready to take off for Singapore. So, to start the journey, I would firstly welcome uh, C. Anuradha ji. She is the Singapore chapter chairperson at present, and she brings along a rich corporate and professional experience of over 28 across multinational corporations, both in Singapore and in India. She is a graduate from Calcutta University. She has worked with Raymond, iFlex Solution, and Sybase India. She has an extensive corporate finance and tax related experience in general and specifically on managing revenue assurance, US GAAP, raising funds through IPO, and investor relationship. In addition, she is an active volunteer with the People Association Singapore and an active volunteer with Indian Women's Association Singapore, that is IWA. And she was also the president of IWA for the period of 2019-21. Ma'am, we would like to hear more about the chapter activities, the members there, how you people are organizing your activities, and how frequently you people meet, and how you foresee these professional opportunities in Singapore. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Divya, for the wonderful introduction. Very excited to be here to share the Singapore journey. Just to add, I have been in Singapore for 13 plus years now, and it's been a really exciting journey, both professionally and personally. So, from the chapter aspect, I will just update everybody that for the last year, for the first time, Singapore chapter came into category one, and we had more than 500 plus members. And we went up to a podium finish where we got the second runners up. So that was really very exciting. That only says that this 16 years of the existence of the chapter, we have only got people running from strength to strength, which gives a lot of responsibility to the future office bearers and the managing committee to take it on the further journey. So without further ado, I will start to share what we have been doing this year at the Singapore chapter. So at the Singapore chapter, we have 10 managing committee members, and we all have some of the other professional some of the other portfolio that we hold. And here I'm going to run you through the events that we've done in the professional events, what we've done for training, and what we've done as social events so far, and what we are generally planning for the year ahead. So we start our year, we try to do at least one event every month. And if not one, we try to do two plus. July, we are filled with at least 5 events, which I will share with you eventually. So January, we started with, bringing to the members the journey of the economic and market outlook from not only within Singapore, but the world economy. It was a very exciting and well received session. We had 100 plus members attending that event. We at Singapore have the privilege of the Indian High Commission in Singapore being an active part of our budget session every year. So we get the Indian budget and the Singapore budget around in the month of February. We try to do both the events together, but like last year we could not manage it, so we did the Indian budget with the Indian High Com, and very renowned dignitaries being present there. It was again a very well received session. And the session which we did for the Singapore budget was actually done in conjunction with Deloitte, and that was done later in the month of March, first week of March. And that also we really had a good experience, with at least 80 plus members attending the event. What we did last year, we had a very exciting speaker who joined us, Brigadier Sushil Bhasin, who was there during the Kargil War. And he actually came to Singapore, and we had the opportunity to hear his life stories. And he's a TEDx speaker as well as, he has a lot of words of wisdom to share. And he shared with us a topic, Battlefield to Boardroom. Trust me, we were left craving for more. Even we had the High Commission representatives as a part of the event. And again, 100 plus members attended, which was very, very well received. This year, we were very privileged to have our President Nandaji to be in Singapore, and we used that opportunity in the presence of Nanda sir as well as High Commissioner of India to Singapore, His Excellency Shilpa Kambuleji. And we launched the Women Empowerment Cell of Singapore chapter called Empower Her. We were very privileged to have both these, esteemed gentlemen inaugurating the session and sharing their pearls of wisdom. But together with that, the panel of women that we had there, the kind of sharing they did and the kind of knowledge that they shared, and they gave a lot of, hacks to the women here who come in and who do not find very, very quick job opportunities on how they can find meaning and purpose in their life. The panel actually was planned for like an hour, went on for 1 hour, 45 minutes, and we had to really cut that short. So very, very well received again. We went on to do, finance and focus, which was transformation, reporting and transformation, which is the keywords and the buzzwords now. Then we again went and did in alternative investments in wealth management with Crystal. We also had our session which we did very recently for, with HSBC, which was around education and how our children can, if we are looking for education for our kids abroad, how we can give meaningful and purposeful uh, planning for ourselves and how kids can benefit out of it. And then, together with that, a lot of wealth management strategies was shared with the members. And to top it, we rounded up nearly June with all these events. In the first week of July, the event that we had was Nilab Bhaji from Oman had shared his insights into mastering the art of negotiation. And trust me, he did share some very powerful, nuggets with us. So, in case you find anywhere his webinar on, he does share it across all the chartered accountants across chapters and in India. If you find one of his webinars, you may just definitely want to grab that. So these were the events that we did in the first half of the year that is up to date. We have another 6 months to go. Uh, but that was not all. We had a 6 hours training on communication mastery. And Linda is an excellent Toastmaster. Together with that, she's a coach. And she really also shared with us how we can communicate better when we are, when we think we are not being heard properly or we're not able to communicate what we want to say. So this was a very closed door thing where I think only 30 members were present, but we did learn a lot. We are not only, learning professionally, and we're not only doing things for CP hours. Singapore has a lot of migrant workers, and we did a 4 week financial literacy workshop for the migrant workers, where we actually behind the scenes curated and created the content for what we would teach them, and after that, over there in person, our members were, some of them were speakers who were explaining to them, and then quite a lot of them, we were actually with the migrant workers trying to explain to them how they can do things better and how they can plan things better. And what the biggest thing that we tried to explain to them was savings is very important, because the power of compounding was what we tried to carry forward. We were really amazed at what they bring to the table and how much knowledge they have as well. Some are quite naive and some really have a lot of knowledge. So, trying to make a balance between this, giving back, the chapter members felt really, really, privileged to have that as an experience. We celebrated the International Day of Yoga, in collaboration with Vyasa Yoga. The Deputy High Commissioner was present there. And we really, again, we partook in chair yoga, and we did some laughter yoga. We have this association year on year, and it's a good opportunity for our members to be present in Singapore, but still, enjoy, feel that they are back home and celebrate the important days. This year we have done one hike as a part of our social event, but we do quite a lot of hikes, and I really wish I could have shown you the video, but in the paucity of time, we cannot. It was a learning. It was, the hike was not only something that you just walked along. It was a learning on management and how people together can the power of being and doing things together. I mean, there's one particular space which in the videos that we have that I really loved was when it was rainy, completely sludgy, and how still everybody walked from one, holding hands together, how they just walked across. It was an amazing event. And yes, to celebrate CA Day, tomorrow we are looking forward to the bowling night. We've done it in the past a couple of times, and tomorrow again, we are all going to gather together to celebrate the bowling night, and that will be our CA Day celebration. This is what we have done, but that's not about all. We have a very packed calendar for the rest of the year as well. So in July, we are coming in with the mid-year market outlook. We are going to do the art of deal, which is key challenges in M&A and valuation. We have an AI-driven reinvention. We have business valuation. We have NRI investments and planning, legacy planning. Then on 26th or 25th September, we will have the Business Leaders Forum. I will talk more about it very soon. On 10th of October, then we are going to do a topic around opportunities in Gift City. Then the next leap, again, I will talk more about it. Then on 26th November, we are doing HR strategy, talent management, and professional ethics. We will try and we are working with ISCA, that is the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants, to do this in conjunction with them. And we will like sort of end up the year with key government schemes of Singapore. In training, right now, we are planning another training which has been sort of crystallized, is from energy to execution. We have we have two EY partners and senior consultants who are going to give us this training. And as I just shared, on 12th, we are having the bowling night. And 1st of November, we have our amazing Diwali Gala. For more than 400 plus members and family members join here. It's one of the most talked about events in Singapore. These are the pictures of the Business Leader Forum that we did last year. So this year we are planning that on around 25th or 26th of September. And on that day, what we do is we have a thought leadership discussion with around more than 100 plus CEOs, CFOs, CXOs coming in. Our President Sir will also be gracing the occasion. We have sent the invite to the High Commission of India as well to Singapore. We are waiting for his reward. But, so this is going to be an event where we're really looking forward to create some thought leadership out of what the Singapore chapter creates. So we'll have some topics around, we're discussing still the topics, but mostly it's going to be some newer topics. Last year, our topics was around invest in India. And we had partnership with a lot of, Invest India itself was our partner last year. So we have some things in pipeline, not at the liberty to disclose yet. But it's a marquee event of Singapore. And last year, the people who attended have already come back asking us when we are doing it this year. In the pictures, you can see the CIO of HSBC, the gentleman from Invest India. You can see some gentleman from, a nominated member of parliament, Mr. Neil Parekh. He's the president of SICKI as well. Mr. Dheeraj Khandelwal is there. So we had a lot of good presence. Ranjit sir was actually present on the webinar. He was not able to join us in person. So this year, again, on 25th, we are really looking at a great event. And yes, so this is the first time we're trying to do the Next Leap 2025, which is in partnership with Beyond Seed. It is a project where we are inviting startups from India and Singapore to collaborate and come forward. And we will, go through an entire knowledge journey with them, where after they have been shortlisted, we will have around 6 to 10 webinars where we will have discussions around topics that how a startup can either go from 0 to 1, or people who have actually settled their revenue model can go from 1 to 10. So we have launched this program. It is already there on our website, on the ICI Singapore chapter website. And we are really looking forward to active participation from the International CA Fraternity and India CA Fraternity into our program and see that succeed. It's our first time experiment, but we are seeing some good. We've already had a couple of people apply for it. And that would be all that I will share at this stage from my end. So Singapore chapter, honestly, we are very busy. The managing committee is kept very busy and we are on our toes. And we try to make it a wonderful experience for our members. And through webinars, we are trying to do some webinars, and we are trying actually something that I could not cover in my slide yet, but we are trying to do a residential program with some countries in Southeast Asia where we could do a joint residential program. Let us see whether we succeed, whether we do it this year or next year, but there are things in the pipeline. So, Singapore, yes, exciting place to be in. Thank you.
Lot, Anuradha ma'am, for sharing such a beautiful journey of yours and the whole institute and the chapter therein. Can we know the number of members you exactly have there now?
We have got around 530 plus members.
Great number, ma'am. Nice to know that. And even the members are taking active participation in all these activities, since you are saying that has been a lot of participation. Yeah.
So we actually, our membership, it's a very good question. Our membership actually has, we have all across all, members from all stages of life. Most of them, but are actually in they are C-suites, or they are the decision makers in their own merit, in their own setups. And then you also have, people who just come fresh and you're settling down here. So you have all kinds of members. And I would say amongst the churn, we see 50 to 60% of members being very active. But Diwali event actually, it turns out to be 80% who are very active.
It's a very emotional thing for all the Indians. So they must be, enjoying it at the CA Institute altogether. So thank you so much for sharing the experience and the initiatives which are taken there at the Singapore chapter. Next, I would like to welcome our panelists here. So just let me start with the introduction of CA Kala Krishnamurthy ma'am. She's here the first panelist, and she's the former chairperson of ICAI Singapore chapter for the year 2020-21. She's a FCA India, CPA Australia, and a fellow member of ICMA India, and also holds a diploma in IATA, that is International Air Transport Association. She brings over 27 years of diverse professional experience across industries and geographies. Right now, she serves as a board director for companies in Singapore and internationally. It's really commendable to note that under her leadership, ICAI Singapore chapter won its first ever overseas award. Congratulations and welcome to you, ma'am. Let's welcome our second panelist, CA Ayush Yagnik, who is the management committee member at ICAI Singapore chapter, and he heads the professional events committee of this chapter. He's having 14 years of professional experience. He's a director at Advanced MedTech Solutions and a chief investment officer at KR Capital Advisors. He excels in financial management, cost management, management reporting, ERP implementation, and internal controls. In addition, he has a rich exposure in expanding business by setting up and managing distribution networks in Asia, Middle East, Latin America, African, and European markets. Further, he manages a single family office with large investments in public and private equity, funds of funds, and have set up and managed Singapore Trust. Welcome to the session, sir, and let's begin our journey with the questions. Hope you are ready to address those. Yeah, and meanwhile, I would like to mention that there are around 650 participants joining all over from India and other countries, and also from Singapore. That is what I have come to know. So thank you so much for a great response. And we are just starting off with the questions. For the participants, I would like to just say that you can mention your questions or you can post your questions in the chat box. We will surely address most of your questions here. We'll try to address as many as we can. So let us begin by hearing the first thing, what truly takes to build a successful CA journey in Singapore. Beyond the introduction we have already had, what were the challenges or shifts and growths for the milestone? Let us first hear from CA Ayush Yagnik ji. You have held leadership roles in manufacturing, finance, family offices, and now investment advisory. Can you share how your professional journey from India to Singapore unfolded? What were the biggest personal and professional challenges, especially in the early days?
Okay. So my journey started from India to Singapore by when I started and joined Advanced MedTech Solutions, which was headquartered in Singapore and having manufacturing operations in India. So basically, to come out from India to a place like Singapore, you need some nexus in that particular corporate entity that can bring you to Singapore. So that is the easiest way. So I had worked there as a finance manager, having led and executed various projects independently. And there is when management decided that they were expanding into Singapore, setting up a full-fledged office here, not just having a holding company. So then we moved office here. At that time, they also were planning to set up a family office in Singapore. So that is when I got exposure into the investment side, because I was a core finance professional, like a normal manager, finance and accounts, and then getting exposed into various equities, private equity, public equity, different kinds of investments. So all that in all helped me in terms of getting into this part of the area. Plus, at the same time, I was also working with my team to develop business in this region. Since I was in Singapore, traveling from Singapore to any country in Singapore in Asia is very easy. So that is how we were trying to develop. So as Neil Donald Walsh has said, life begins and ends out of your comfort zone. So basically, there are challenges here in Singapore. It is not a easy walk, but yes, coming out from an Indian environment, I was here exposed to a very high cost of living. As you had rightly pointed out, Singapore is the second rank in terms of the most expensive cities in the world. Second, I was more exposed into the Indian environment, not exposed into the global environment. So that is where I had little challenges in terms of interacting with people around, because banking and financial service sectors, they are all from different nationalities, and coordinating with them becomes a little challenge. Plus, I worked harder to prove myself in a new environment, because it was not a local Indian environment, it was out of that. Also in terms of family relocation, because there are certain instances where you are coming out for your particular job. My wife is also a chartered accountant, but she had to come here and search for a job. So that itself becomes a kind of a moral pressure on myself, that she also has to secure an employment. Plus, at the same time, my kids coming out from there and going into the new schools here where they are exposed to different nationalities becomes a little challenging in terms of personal side. Second is network building. Network building is something which can happen over a period of time. So it did eventually happen when I got exposed to ICI Singapore chapter. That was when I joined here. So I call it a family away from family. So where we get exposed to a lot of different membership base and all into different specialities. So you get a lot of help around you for many things. Then I started upskilling myself. Upskilling in terms of local regulations, what are the ACRA guidelines, what are the MAS guidelines, what are IRAS guidelines, and then basically that helped me in terms of get more comfortable with the Singapore environment. Second, I got a lot of mentorship from a lot of senior professionals around me, specifically from the chapter, as well as from outside the chapter who were auditors of this company and so on. So we got good exposure. So that was all about how I got into this leadership role, and the challenges that I faced and the way I overcome it.
In nutshell, I can say you were very lucky, sir, to start off pretty well, and you build upon a very good network.
Yeah.
And let's ask CA Kala ma'am also. So, with your global experience across sectors and countries, suggest the reasons why should anyone choose Singapore. or let me put it in some other words, what sets Singapore apart as a platform for Indian talent compared to other global hubs?
Okay, thank you. So, first of all, good evening to everyone. And we would like to thank C. Abhay Chachat, CA Sanjeev Kumar Singhal, Monica, CA Monica Jain, and then Gunjal, CA Divya, and the entire team of the Development of International Trade Services for this opportunity. When this session started, and Divya was also briefly mentioning about Singapore. See, Singapore is a population of approximately about 5.9 million, with 7.4% approximately Indians. This is on the ethnicity. There are approximately, if you could say, 650 Indians, 650,000 Indians here, around 360,000 working, and 300,000 are of Indian origins. And Singapore, the area is relatively small, approximately 735 square kilometers, which will be, you say, like almost twice of the place of Chennai. Now, like what are the why you would anyone would choose Singapore compared to the other global hub? So the first one is the proximity and the strategic location. Because if you look, it is geographically close to India, and it's almost the time zone is not that different. So there's always a smooth coordination that can happen with the Singapore and the India teams. And Singapore is a passport and a gateway to the Southeast Asia. So which is an ideal base for roles managing India plus ASEAN plus global markets. So the Singapore's geography, location, and the robust regulatory environment make it a gateway to Southeast Asia, and also a preferred base for the regional headquarters, offering the Indian professionals exposure to broader Asian markets and leadership opportunities. And when it comes to the business friendly ecosystem, Singapore is also the Asia's top financial business hub. There are over 9,000 Indian companies that operate in Singapore, including Tata, Infosys, HCL. And Singapore and India has also entered into the bilateral frameworks like CISA, which is the Singapore Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement. And there is a fintech bridge, and then there is an DTA, which enables the smoother business environment. The Comprehensive Economic Cooperation is a free trade agreement that reduces the tariffs between the Singapore and India to grow bilateral trade. So Singapore and India have been the significant trading partners in Southeast Asia for years. So the trade between in India, I'm telling this is the information as we have the statistics for year 2023 was almost total $14.75 billion. And also they announced a new agreement to work together in the area of semiconductors, of which recently the Indian Prime Minister also has visited Singapore, which was in the last end of the quarter of the last year. So that agreement also marks an upgrade in the relationship to a comprehensive strategic partnership. So in order to promote further progress in bilateral trade, there are MOUs signed on digital technologies, semiconductors, skill development, and health. So these agreements aim to enhance connectivity between India and Singapore and support the growth of the industries and ecosystem on both sides. And Singapore's rapid economic growth, especially in finance, technology, and banking, has created a demand for skilled professionals that need professionals from India. So, Indian professionals are valued for their expertise in these fields, for their adaptability and leadership capabilities, making them highly sought after in Singapore's dynamic market. And Singapore values expertise, experience, and execution. And here the employment process, so it's a bit difficult to get it. It's a very transparent EP process, which also follows the campus system. And coming to language, there is no language barrier because the both are English speaking countries, so which can be easily connected. And there are some degrees which are recognized here, and recently also, which I think maybe later on I should be touching on the topic. There is an MOU which ICAA has also signed with the ISCA, the CEO of Singapore. And Singapore employers are also increasingly adopting hybrid and flexible work models, making the city more attractive to global talent seeking work life balance and modern workplace cultures. So, with these things aligning and the quality of the life and the culture of life, because when it says Singapore, the first thing that always comes to the clean, safe, and stable, which is ideal for families. And also, there are large established Indian diaspora, and you have Indian food, festivals, temples, and everywhere widely available. And the simple tax regime, which earlier she mentioned, it's the 17% corporate tax, the strong healthcare, and the world-class infrastructure. So these are the factors which makes one not just an attractive, but a uniquely accessible and rewarding destination for Indian talent, offering opportunities for both career growth and long term stability that are increasingly hard to find in other global hubs.
So much for putting everything in such details. And I think we are all very much convinced that we should jump to Singapore. Okay, so let's go further. And next, we would like to actually know the Singapore landscape is basically, we have seen it evolving over the years. So let's talk about how the scenario today is different from a decade ago for the Indian professionals. So I would ask the question to CA Ayush this time. How has the openness towards Indian professionals evolved in your 14-year journey? And are Singaporean companies and regulators more accepting of international talent now as compared to past years?
Right. So I would like to start here with how Singapore is changing its policies in order to align. So Singapore has moved from a transactional hiring, which was the earlier they used to take for hiring for different roles. They are now moving into a strategic integration model where they have developed a kind of framework which is called a Compass framework, where they evaluate each and every profile that comes to their for EP approvals. So, just to give you a trend, the proportion of Indian employment holders has almost doubled from 13% to 25% between 2005 and 2024. So, as of December 2024, 25% of the employment pass holders are Indian employment pass holders, which talks a lot about the way they have seen the foreign talent in the Indians, specifically when it comes to finance, when it comes to IT, or when it comes to the fintech environment, and now also the family office structures, because a lot of family offices are coming in and settling in Singapore. So they have a proper verification process where they evaluate, and in fact our CA degrees also here, they undergo a verification process. They go to ICI India, they get it verified from there whether it is genuine or not genuine, and then they come back and approve the application. So that is the kind of framework which they have established. That is only because they want increased transparency. In addition to that, the Indian professionals are being not just seen as skilled workers, they are being seen as ecosystem builders, because a lot of corporates here are their top managements, they are having chartered accountants who are heading those operations. Like Anu was mentioning in her piece, that a lot of chartered accountants here who are part of our membership base are C-suite executives. So they have come here, settled well, and they are now in a leadership positions. There are different new pathways which are coming in, like they have launched One Pass, which is a separate pass in itself, or a separate visa in itself, which gives you flexibility in terms of working with different employers. Like here, you are not bound by any one sponsor. The other visas, for example employment pass and all, they require a sponsor. There is also one scheme launched which is Manpower for Strategic Economic Priority Schemes, where they have given flexibility to certain businesses to hire people, manpower based on their strategic needs. So they are also not bound by any limitations in terms of the sponsorship and this way they are trying and promoting the new schemes, bringing in new schemes to bring in more foreign talent. So this is how they have evolved over a period of time, and I am sure with the AI coming in, with the technology still evolving further, more and more Indians will come in and get employment passes in Singapore.
Kala ma'am, we would like to know, based on your ICI leadership and boardroom experiences, from a corporate hiring and leadership lens, what competencies are more sought after these days? I mean, compare as we compare it to the past years.
Yes. As we have seen, especially after COVID, also, the change, what we are seeing is change is constant, right? So the Singapore's employment landscape is increasingly driven by a rapid technological change, sustainable imperatives, and evolving business models, leading to a strong focus on the technical, professional, and also the soft competencies. So, from both general employment and corporate leadership perspectives, the most sought after competencies include first, if you take on the technical, professional, or digital skills, AI. Everywhere, what we hear is the AI and machine learning. So, AI literacy, the machine learning engineering, natural language processing, and other AI ethics, which are highly priced across sectors with professional in these areas are still commanding. And next comes the cybersecurity. So these are the skills that is required in threat intelligence, incident response, cloud security, and compliance are in high demand due to the escalating digital threats. The third one is on the data analytics and visualization. So proficiency in data analytics, business intelligence tools, predictive modeling, and data storytelling is now fundamental for roles across all business functions. And when we speak about programming and digital transformation, coding, system configuration, and digital project management are critical as business accelerate digital adoption. Sustainability, which is widely talk about it, and we have standards also in this. Even MAS has come with us all the ESG standards, ESG framework. So expertise in sustainability management and ESG framework is increasingly valued as Singapore pushes its Green Plan 2030. And what about the soft skills we need? The first one is the problem solving and critical thinking. See, that is the ability to analyze situations, develop solutions, and adapt creativity is a top priority for employees in a fast changing market. Communication is very important. We need to have a clear, concise, and effective communication. Both written and verbal is essential for teamwork and leadership and is consistently cited as a key hiring criteria. Adaptability and learning agility. With ongoing digital disruption, employers value candidates who can demonstrate continuous learning, flexibility, and the ability to make change. Leadership and people management. For corporate hiring and leadership roles, competencies such as inspiring productivity, managing diverse teams, conflict resolution, and strategic decision making are increasingly important. And we also need to understand a very important change that is important. It's just not the qualification that makes a person to get into employment. Because the employees in Singapore are shifting from academic qualifications to a skill first approach. So, emphasizing the industry relevant experience, certifications, and evidence of upskilling. That is through the skill. There are platforms where you can do the skill future or update your skill. Nearly 80% of the roles approximately are now open to skill based candidates. So in summary, if I have to say that, you need to have digital AI related skills, cybersecurity, data analytics, sustainability expertise are among the most sought after technical competencies. And when you come to soft skills, problem solving, communication, adaptability, and leadership are the most valued soft skills, especially for corporate and leadership positions. There is a clear trend that we see towards skill based hiring or traditional qualifications, making continuous upskilling and practical experience more critical than ever. So please understand, possessing a CA qualification is just the starting point, but is very imperative to stay competitive and require constant upskilling and additional qualifications.
Thank you so much for summarizing it all for all our participants, ma'am. It's around 850 participants now. So that is the current statistics we have. And basically, everyone is curious to understand what kind of skill set we should have to enter into any of these different countries or any other kind of atmosphere if you really want to flourish well. So let us step into some other questions now. Let's get much more practical. For CAs aiming to relocate or work in Singapore, what do they really need to know? So I would like to ask again, Kala ma'am here, what certifications or local regulations must Indian CAs be aware of? Are there any regulatory or compliance challenges that Indian firms should be aware of when establishing a presence in Singapore?
Okay, regarding the certifications, as I said, having a CA qualification is only a starting point. So when you move to any other country, it is important to understand the local laws and recognition of the qualification. So when you are in Rome, you have to be like a Roman. So here we have, like as I said, ICA has entered into MOU with ISCA. So there is a pathway that where you can become the associate member of ISCA, and also there is an MRA signed with CPA Australia. So there is also an opportunity to become a CPA Australia. Other than that, locally, there are like exam for company secretary where one can become an accredited company secretary. And there are exams which is conducted by the local tax authority, the Inland Revenue Authority, where you can keep upgrading and become an accredited tax practitioner. So there are certification courses associated with the company secretary, the laws, and also with the tax. So Indian firms establishing a presence in Singapore, they generally encounter a generally transparent and business friendly regulatory environment. But there are several key compliance and regulatory things which they need to be aware of. So for example, like if you see most Indian firms, they establish a private limited company or a branch office. So, and what we need here is at least one director, resident director is required here, whether the citizen PR. If it is an EP, they can be a director in their company. And also there have been a recent changes that has happened, which says that it is a person can be appointed as a director to 50 companies. The limit, they brought the limit to 50 companies. And also it will be the responsibility of the company secretary that these directors meet the fit and proper condition. If it is not, there are huge fines that is involved. Now there is also, they have brought amendment in the Corporate Service Providers Act, which is also in June 25. So all entities providing the corporate services, including company formation, directors, should have registered offices, and they must register with the Accounting and Corporate Regulatory Authority, which is the ACRA. And they must also comply with stringent anti-money laundering, counter-terrorism, and proliferation financing regulations. And nominee directors also should be appointed through registered CSPs and assessed as fit and proper. And non-compliance to any of these things can lead to significant fines and in some cases imprisonment. And regarding the filing requirements, annual returns have to be filed with ACRA. The financial statements have to be prepared as per the Singapore Financial Reporting Standard. And there is an XBRL formatting, which is mandatory for most of the companies. The corporate tax, regarding the taxation and transfer pricing, corporate tax is 7%, 17%. And there is a GST. So if your turnover is exceeding 1 million, then there is a GST, which is currently 9%. You have to be a GST registered. And there is a transfer pricing also. So you need to do a transfer pricing documentation if you cross the threshold. An arm's length principle must be followed for intercompany transactions. Regarding the banking and the other substance requirements, the bank account opening has become stricter, especially for foreign owned entities, because the firms must demonstrate that there is a local economic substance. That means there are real activities, not just the paper presence. And they have to do a proper KYC documentation for all shareholders and directors. Regarding the employment pass, it is needed for all Indian employees, which we follow the CAMPAS system. And there is a fair consideration framework which has to be followed, because jobs must be fairly advertised to locals before EP is issued. And there is a central provident fund contributions mandatory for the local staff. And there is also, coming to the data protection and cyber security, we have here the PDPA, Personal Data Protection Act, and regulates how personal data is collected, used, and stored. And appointing a data protection officer is mandatory. So cybersecurity regulations apply more stringently in finance, healthcare, and e-commerce. And you also have to consider the cross-border considerations, like India, Singapore have a DTAA. So this helps avoid double taxation, but also need to consider the POEM rules in India. And then the fund repatriation, which it counts, we have to comply with the FEMA in India and ensure legitimate substance in Singapore to defend tax residency. There's also a gift city tie-up. Many Indian firms structure via gift Singapore corridors, making the legal structuring must be robust. So in summary, while Singapore offers a streamlined and open business environment for Indian firms, it is crucial to address the local directorship, CSP licensing, AML CFT compliance, tax and GST obligations, sustainability reporting, and data protection from the outside to avoid any regulatory pitfalls and ensure smooth operations.
Hearing to you, ma'am, there are so many compliances, and that is why it is rightly said that Singapore is called as a fine city. It has a dual meaning. We all understand that. So a lot of fines are imposed if you are not complying with the laws, and that is Singapore is
Yeah.
very strict about it. Yeah.
For that, I need to add you one. The reason, because if you know, Singapore is an FATF country, right? So that's why you have the confidence here, because investors, when you say Singapore, okay, even in a SEBI, if you see for the FPI, if your IM is in Singapore, you fall into category 1. And that is the confidence and the trust the investors have played in Singapore. And that's the reason they ensure all this AML and KYC. Even when I said about opening of the bank account, right? It's no more easy, because you cannot just have it on the paper and say open a bank account. They would really want to see the substance.
Right, ma'am. So now question goes to Ayusha, to you.
Yeah.
Is there a mutual recognition agreement, that is MRA? We have heard about it just now. So we would like to know more about it, the MRA between ICI and any Singaporean accounting bodies, that makes it easier for us to, or maybe Indian CAs to get into there. One more question I would add here is that we need to know the visa pathways, which are how they are associated with it. So whether they are easily available for Indian professionals or how it is. So does the corporate experience which Indians carry, whether it has any weight in Singaporean hiring process? So all
Okay.
those who are engaged in
Yeah.
service industry, whether they will have a higher weightage. That is what.
Okay. So in October 2022, ICAI India and ISCA, which is Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants, they entered into a MOU where they had done a reciprocal, they allowed an associate degree in Singapore, but there they gave a condition that you should be at least 6 months staying in Singapore. Then you are eligible to apply for an associate degree of ISCA. So recently, during visit of President Sir, this discussion again was picked up to have a full MOU with ISCA. So the discussions are ongoing. Hopefully, very soon we should have something working out on that, and we would be eligible for a full degree here in Singapore. In when it comes to the various visa or the immigration pathways, there are different types of visas which are categorized as employment pass, S pass, personalized employment pass, one pass, and entry pass for entrepreneurs. So most of the passes here require a local sponsor. So a local employer has to sponsor any employee coming into from abroad to Singapore on an employment pass, which is quite a lengthy process, but a very transparent and clear process where they give all the documentations that are required. They do all the kinds of verifications, as I had mentioned earlier. So these are different various pathways of coming into Singapore. They have recently come up with Entry Pass, which allows an entrepreneur or a startup who wants to come and set up operations in Singapore. They can use this Entry Pass. So they can have their own sponsorship. They can have their own pass, which gives them flexibility. It is not linked to any sponsorship. Then the move to Singapore happens normally in three scenarios. One is either any employee in the Asian market has regional exposure. So maybe he is part of a company and looking already into the regional roles out of India, and then they want him to move to Singapore. So that is one pathway. Or there are some cross-border audits for which people come into Singapore, or there are some merger and acquisition deals which have happened, so now the new employer wants them to be stationed in Singapore, or there are some treasury functions in Singapore, so a lot of finance professionals are moved to Singapore for that reason. Then comes, there are different institutes here, like INSEAD is there, NUS is there, SMU is there. So a lot of people who have already qualified as chartered accountants, they come here for different degrees into various specialities. Like for ESG, they come here, or maybe for some specialization on fintech or some certifications. They come here and then they are absorbed in Singapore. So, when they do internships or they apply for opportunities, since they have qualified from INSEAD and US, they also have their own campus placement, so they get it placed from there. Third is a strategic relocation, like how I have come. So the employment pass is applied by the employer because they want you to move from India to Singapore. They are setting up here operations, or they are entering into a kind of they have a venture here or want to set up something. So that is a strategic relocation where you are moving within the group, but you are being moved to Singapore. So these are some of the ways in which the members from India can benefit coming into Singapore. It basically depends upon the kind of employer you have. Maybe a multinational corporate who has a regional or headquarters based out of Singapore, then it is easier to come in to Singapore. But finding direct job opportunities from India is not very easy in Singapore, because in Singapore they have a first local policy, like what Kala madam mentioned, that they have a very clear policy that first the job requirements has to be advertised in a local portal where the locals can apply. Once the locals are not fit for that job, then you can go out and source from foreign talent. So there are some of the hurdles or kind of the caveats which are part of this process. But overall, these are the broad pathways on which a member can come into Singapore. I think you are on mute.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
For practicing members, how should they switch from India to Singapore?
I have seen a lot of practicing members coming into Singapore, specifically on audit engagements or maybe secondment from, like, a lot of my friends from Big Fours. They are coming on secondment because they have some projects to handle here, or they have been moved for a fixed period of time to help the Singapore operations with some assignments, engagement, or there are some tech implementation projects, like some ERP implementation is happening in Singapore, so they move them here. So these are some of the ways in which they are coming into the practice area. A lot of chartered accountants from India are doing are setting up here a separate company entity along with a local practicing chartered accountant and helping him with his audit engagements, and the signing partner still remains the local Singaporean practitioner, but the other one is helping in terms of doing the audit engagements. So these are some of the ways in which you can collaborate with local practicing CA firms to set up operations here. And eventually, to practice, if the MRA takes little longer time, you still have to complete the full ISCA course. Then you are eligible to get the signing authority. So it is a long process.
One more thing to ask here is how is the outsourcing market here in Singapore?
Outsourcing market exists in Singapore, but most of the outsourcing operations are happening in India. So more chartered account or more of the corporates, they are having their back offices in India, or they are having back offices in Philippines, because Singapore itself is a very expensive destination to have a back office, because for doing routine operations or accounting jobs or bookkeeping and all, you don't need people here, because here it would be expensive. So a lot of offices are setting up in India, also setting up in Philippines. A lot of offices are in Malaysia. So they try and work around, but in Singapore you will see less of the back offices.
All right, so now it's time to know about the growth track. So once you are in with all this knowledge, suppose a person enters into Singapore, now how do you grow? So what are the different paths available for Indian CAs? We would like to know more about it now. We would like to ask here, CA Ayush, to you again. You are managing the family office and investments across the geographies. How can Indian CAs break into such specialized or strategic leadership roles? So, we would like you to throw some light on common roadblocks that a mid career Indian professional face when they aim for leadership roles.
Right. So to start with the family offices, the number of family offices in Singapore are rising. It has grown from 200 in 2019 to 2000 by 2025. And Singapore is home to almost 60% of the Asia's family offices, which talks a lot about how many family offices are here in Singapore. A lot of Indian businesses are moving or setting up family offices in Singapore. Like Mukesh Ambani has a family office in Singapore, Azim Premji has a family office in Singapore. A lot of opportunity exists, but it needs an India nexus for members from India to come to Singapore and be part of the family office setup. Because family office setup requires somebody reliable, somebody trustworthy, somebody whom with you already have an experience with working. So it requires a lot of trust in people. So what happens is, if you are hiring a foreign talent in Singapore, it will not be that trustworthy, may not be trustworthy. So a lot of family offices are a bit concerned about that. People who are already part of our system should come and head the family office. So nexus is very important. When it comes to mid-career challenges, what I see is that when people are in mid-career, they are more concerned on execution rather than the strategic visibility. So there, basically the kind of thought process is more of operational. So they are in mid-management levels. But when they start thinking or giving ideas to management, or they are more moved into a strategic role, it is easier for them to graduate into and come and join a family office setup. Second, what constraints I see is that they get limited sponsorship opportunities. So when you are in a middle management, you already have somebody on the top management already existing in India, for example. So then it all depends upon your top management to see how they can elevate you to a leadership role. So there are limited sponsorship opportunities is what I have seen. Then in terms of, there is a less appetite to embrace the risk, because people, they are in middle management, they are settled with their family, they are in that age where they don't want any disruption in their personal lives, so they have less appetite to take risk. But frankly speaking, nothing can be achieved without taking risk. So you have to embrace the risk and go ahead. Second, the perception biases for the profession. What happens is that in Singapore, they have a separate perception for Indian talent or foreign talent or some nationality talent. So that personal biases also does affect their recruitment into the family offices. So what I suggest that our members should learn to market themselves to overcome all this, because that perception bias has to go. For that to go, you have to have your visibility, your personal branding, try and make members realize that you can help them in their family offices, support them. So those are there. And at the same time, you need to upskill yourself, as Kala and Madam rightly mentioned, that you have to work on various different sectors like ESG, sustainability, digital finance, fintech, governance and strategy, startup and venture finance. So there are different recommended credentials. Like for ESG, there is a qualification like GRI, SASB, CFA ESG. INSEAD ESG modules are available. Then for digital finance, there is a Digital Finance Institute, RegTech courses. Then for governance and strategy, there is a different qualification which you can take from CPA Australia, INSEAD, NUS, executive programs. For startups, there are angel investing workshops and VC boot camps which can be participated in to kind of upskill yourself so that you can be a good fit into the family office structure here in Singapore.
Right. Know all about that. But again, it requires a lot of skill set again. This simply means
Yes.
that you have to build your own brand value to enter into
Right.
it. Yeah. Okay. So over to you, Kala ma'am. What enables transition from a technical profile to a boardroom or CXO role? Because we can see you in all these roles. So any behavioral or leadership shift which is required. So we would like to know more from you.
Yeah. See, if you see the Indian chartered accountants who have successfully transitioned from these technical roles to the strategic positions, leadership position in Singapore, and what happens is they tend to exhibit a blend of technical mastery and key leadership competencies. So let me look what of the most important traits that we need is one is the strategic thinking and the business acumen moving beyond the technical accounting. So the successful people have to demonstrate the ability to understand the business strategy, then evaluate market opportunities and align with the financial management with the organizational goals. So they are adept at using financial insights to inform decision making and drive business growth. For example, a CA who moves from just closing books to driving capital allocation strategy or business model transformation. And you need to have an effective communication and influence. Strong leaders can clearly articulate complex financial concepts to non financial stakeholders, influence decision makers, and build consensus across the diverse teams. This include both the written and the oral verbal communication skills, as well as the ability that's very important to present to boards and the senior management. So then the translating the complex financials into clear business narratives. And you start leading the conversation with the boards, with the investors, with the regulators and with the non-finance teams. And also you need to have the ability to challenge decisions constructively and not just follow the instructions. See, the strategic leaders or trusted communicators, they are not just the technical experts. And it should be a people leadership. The ability to motivate, mentor, and manage teams is very essential because leadership for CAs is about inspiring trust, driving change, and fostering a collaborative culture that supports both performance and professional growth. So, leaders always must stay ahead of the evolving industry trends, regulatory changes, and technology advancements. And there is always, I always say, every day is a learning day, a willingness to upskill, particularly in the areas like digital transformation, ESG, and data analytics. These are highly valued. As we are all the guardians of the financial integrity, so CAs in leadership roles must exemplify high ethical standards and sound judgment, ensuring compliance and building stakeholder trust, especially in Singapore's diverse and international business environment. The ability to work effectively across cultures, that's very important. You should have the ability to work effectively across cultures and geographies. If you have that, it's a major asset. Many Indian CAs succeed by leveraging their adaptability and global mindset, understanding of the international tax, transfer pricing, treasury, and compliance. And you have to collaborate with the legal, tech, and don't operate in silos. Experience working with geographies and cultures, especially like a place hub like in Singapore. So many CAs excel when they blend the local rigor with the global fluency. And also, you should have the data analytics, ERPs, automation, AI, and finance. And you should have the ability to drive the finance digitalization, including the dashboards, forecasting tools, RPA initiatives. And senior roles increasingly require skills in business development, partnership building, and market positioning, going beyond the internal finance to drive international organizational growth and innovation. So, in summary, the Indian CAs who can combine technical excellence with the strategic insight, people leadership, adaptability, and strong ethical foundations are best positioned to move into and excel in strategic leadership roles in Singapore and also beyond. So, the best leaders are multipliers and just not the problem solvers. Divya?
Sorry, mute again. Sorry, sorry. So thank you so much for such an elaborated discussion, ma'am. So we all understand that one must have the ability to see the unseen, basically, and you should have the adaptability to, enter into any kind of situation and just understand the. Just in Singapore, we have a different variety of cultures, so you should be able to adapt into that atmosphere, and obviously technical skills are
Move beyond accounting. Move beyond accounting.
beyond accounting, right?
Yes, and Divya, may I ask you because I think we have a lot of questions that has come up.
Yes.
So if you're okay with it, can we address like some of the questions now because we can
Let's
club
start.
some of the. If you're okay with it, can we do that?
We can. So I'll start with the first questions from the participants. Um, are there opportunities where professional services in internal IT or business controls or audit can be provided from India? Is there any market which accepts the skill set available in India, or they want it within their own territory? So any one of you can take it up.
Yes, see, in terms of the skill set, I think which I specifically spoke about in one of the questions you asked. If they say the skill set, what is that accepted from India? As I said, having a qualification is only the starting of the profession. right? So then so you have to upskill, and when you move to Singapore, I said there are a lot of certification courses which I mentioned in the tax also, because you can keep getting accreditation, and then also in the corporate secretary, and even like we both of us spoke about the MOU between ICA and the ISCA, where you can get CA Singapore qualification, and also we spoke about CPA because we have an MRA with that, which you can get a CPA qualification. So as I said, it's very important. Like, yes, you have the CA qualification, but it's very important that you need to understand, as per the local rules, what are the qualifications you need, and also the industry wise, which we said, what are the industries that is, or the jobs that are in demand. ESG, digital, AI, data, which we spoke about, and we need to understand. See, AI, machine learning. See, people says when there is AI, then people will lose jobs. No, the people who cannot understand AI only will lose jobs. AI will not completely remove everyone. Okay, so coming to skill sets, these are the things which I would understand the first questions like, and then whether he can provide the audit from India. Now, audit has a different requirement here, because there is a separate, there is a minimum number of clock hours you need to, audit hours you need to clock here, and then get registered. It's not that as soon as you become a fellow CA or a associate CA of Singapore, you become eligible to sign the accounts. It is not that. There is also a different set of a practice that you need to follow here, the rules, because you have to have a audit practice under somebody who is already practicing here, and after meeting the requirement only you can start signing the accounts. So which is very different from what we have in India. Okay, so that's one. That's the answer for the first question.
Many participants are asking this. Is it beneficial to take CPA Singapore exam as well?
CPA Singapore, yes, this is what I told you first. Yes, it is beneficial, because when you become, that's what like ICAC has facilitated, right? So when you have an ACA, because you have the local qualification, right? So any qualification that will aid you and it will support you.
Just to add there, CPA Australia, they allow us to become associate members, irrespective of any added uh, condition. But there is a separate subject on management which needs to be, for which an exam needs to be given to get their full degree. So that is the scheme for CPA Australia.
I want to tell you, I'm also a CPA Australia here. Okay. So when you do all this, because I think I can club a lot of questions here, because some people have asked what are the qualifications, which we already addressed, and then the skills, or whether you can do audit, those one. And next, coming to now CPA Australia also, we have mentioned this, right? Like when you do the CPA Australia, I said like when you network with these, when you get associated with these associations, they also conduct events, like how CA is chapter is also having events, and sometimes even we have a collaboration event with CPA Australia as well. So these are the events which will give the avenues. One is for networking, and also on your expanding your knowledge base, right? Because people were asking, are there any platforms for the networking? And this is how we associated with the professional associations to expand your knowledge and also the network base.
Yeah, I'm moving to the next question. How much a pay scale should a CA expect? For example, if CA freshers in India gets 10 lakhs, then in Singapore, how much should he expect?
See, I tell you, there is no, like you can say, like you earn this much in India, whether you can go, there's nothing like that, because first we need to understand. So, anyone before moving to Singapore, what I always advise is first analyze what your dynamics are, because what is your family requirement. Okay, because now if you see, you also said in your initial speech, Singapore is the second most expensive city in the world, which means you need to have an income to manage those expenses, right? Now, because you know that in the last 2 3 years before, I think the rent of Singapore has hit the roof.
Right.
So your salary when you move here, when you have a family, you have to pay your rent, you have to pay your schooling, and schooling also is have a local schools have a different system because the priority is for the locals, which
Locals.
means citizens, PR, and then it comes for the EP, which means you need to factor in for all these school expenses, right? And then your living expenses. Now salary, it depends on what scale you are coming in. And also, first, before even for the salary, I said there is a compass system. If you look in the compass system, they have given age wise what salary that a company needs to offer. Because to get an EP, it's not easy to get an EP because it depends on whether you are a junior or a middle or in a senior management. So depending on that, you need to calculate all this: how much I have to pay for my rent, how much I have to spend for my living expenses, how much for my education. So will this salary? So anyone moving before to Singapore, so consider all these aspects, then decide on your offer.
It's a very good suggestion, ma'am. Before directly moving or switching your jobs, you should first analyze or calculate how you are getting in hand, how much you are getting in hand, and all these calculations really play a very important role. So moving to next question,
Just
someone.
one question.
Uh,
Sorry. Okay, see, there is somebody who has asked that he's a chartered accountant is already in the FMCG company. Okay, if he's already if in FMCG and if it is an MNC, the first option is try whether your company could transfer you here, which means the company itself can take care of all your requirements, benefits, their salary, because if they have a presence here, so they'll be knowing well what is the market. So first try that. Okay, that will be a good option. So he's telling how to connect. Use LinkedIn to connect. LinkedIn is also a good way to connect with people if you want to connect with professional. And there are professional associations like CA chapters where you could connect with people.
Next question is, if we are traveling to Singapore from India for business development and seeking work, what are the areas which we can explore and get potential targets?
Ayush, you want to take this? I
Yeah.
didn't hear.
So in terms of practice, if you are looking at some areas of collaboration, then it would be more so from ESG point of view, or maybe from some implementation engagements, or maybe some internal control engagements. So those are some of the areas where you can collaborate with a local firm here, but most of the execution here will have to be done by the local firm, given the fact that they hold the certificate and they are registered, or they have the certificate of practice. So though an Indian firm can help support the firm here in Singapore, but they cannot do the execution role or executing the documents.
We also have one question regarding this MOU for CS Institute. Are we aware about that? Our Indian Company Secretary also having any MOU with CS Institute in Singapore?
See, I tell you the CS because I had met the CS India chairman as well when they had come here last year for their international conference. I think they're also trying, but that is they're also trying to do that to have collaboration with the company secretary in Singapore as well.
Okay. Another question is, any outsourcing opportunities available from Singapore in transfer pricing, accounting, data analysis, and similar matters?
So there are different opportunities available where the company in Singapore is having nexus in India. So, for example, there is a subsidiary in India and a holding company in Singapore, or a subsidiary in Singapore, holding company in India. So there are opportunities where on which you can collaborate for transfer pricing. So their opportunity exists both with India arm as well as Singapore arm, because there are a lot of benchmarking exercises which are required to be done out of India and not out of Singapore. So that there, this particular cooperation can help in terms of developing transfer pricing practice in India and Singapore.
One of the participants is asking, is it worth pursuing CFA to get into finance field, and will it open an opportunity to work abroad?
See, CFA is an excellent course.
Yeah.
No doubt. Okay, it will open the opportunity because it's also recognized.
Okay, I think mostly the questions are taken. And meanwhile, I have a few questions if it's okay. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
other participants can also post in their questions. Okay, like Kala ma'am, we would like to ask you here is are Indian professionals visible enough in the startup ecosystem of Singapore?
Okay, so I'll make it this very brief and short.
Yeah.
See, yes, Indian professionals are increasingly present and influential in Singapore startup and innovation seems, but there is still a significant room to accelerate their participation. So the current representation, if you see, many Indian entrepreneurs and professionals have founded or scaled startups in Singapore, especially in sectors like fintech, data analytics, and cloud service. See, notable companies we can say is InMobi, ZipDial, Nolarity, Mobiton, and Crayon Data set up operations in Singapore. So they are leveraging their pro-business environment, strong funding ecosystem, and ease of doing business. And Indian startups are also attracted to Singapore. The other reason for is low corporate tax rates and absence of capital gain tax, and also the streamlined business registration process, which can be completed in as little as like say 3 to 4 days, and allows 100% foreign ownership. And Singapore startup ecosystem is highly international with a diverse pool of founders and talent. And Indian professionals are a visible part of this mix, both as founders as skilled employees in tech and finance. And where they need to accelerate participation is targeted funding initiatives or enhancing the network and mentorship. And also, there are people say that where they need their sector specific support, because as Singapore pivots towards impact driven entrepreneurship like ESG, healthcare, clean energy, Indian professionals with the relevant expertise can be further incentivized through this sector focused grants, competitions, and accelerate programs, and also through the policy and community engagement. Because I mean, from the people, what I hear is they also expect the continued government support for foreign founders and streamlined the visa or the work we pass processes, so which remains crucial. So active engagement with the local innovation communities and industry bodies can also help Indian professionals build a stronger networks and newer opportunities.
Okay, understand that. And in the beginning of the session, we heard something about the next leap. We would like to know more about it from Ayush.
So, just to give you a background, the Next Leap is a great initiative by ICI Singapore chapter in collaboration with a startup accelerator called Beyond Seed. So, we have launched this event on the CA Day, and this particular event will cater to getting applications from various startups, both in India and Singapore. The reason being, we are celebrating 60 years of diplomatic relations between the two nations. So at ICI Singapore chapter, we thrive to ensure that we at the same time serve startups in India and also serve the startups who are in Singapore. So we have invited applications. People can submit their applications. We will have Beyond Seed along with us evaluate the applications. We'll have um, one-on-one sessions with each startups where they will be presenting their pitch deck to Beyond Seed and ICEI Singapore. So that will allow a lot of value-added benefits to our members. They will be exposed to a lot of startup ideas in terms of what are the ventures possible, how they are executed, how they are evaluated. Plus, it also enhances cross border collaboration because the event will have spotlights in India as well as Singapore corridors. It will enable our members to explore roles in international finance, compliance, and strategic advisory with these startups. It will also help in peer networking because members connect with like minded professionals who are exploring entrepreneurship. They could be forming co-founder networks and angel syndicates. So these are some of the options which we will have, and that's how we have launched this particular concept of the Next Leap, where we continue to get members startup members who are part of startups in Singapore and India to participate in this. This will also help our members to obtain mentorship opportunities where they can mentor various startups, and also at the same time they have an opportunity to invest as well.
Okay, so whosoever is interested may check in the website of.
Right. We have it on our website. We have a separate page called the Next Leap 2025 on LinkedIn. They can follow that page for more updates. We have a deck there which talks about the entire scheme of the Next Leap. So one can go through those. And we'll be keep on posting something or the other over a period of time now. Because this particular session will last for almost 3 months, where we will be having the final session on in November, where we would be shortlisting 3 startups out of the total lot that we receive. Out of the total lot, we'll have 10 startups who will undergo a training program or incubation program, and then we'll select top 3, and then those will go further with the investment opportunities.
Hope you're not prioritizing the locals here.
No, it is nothing like that. It is 60 years of celebration of India and Singapore. And since ICI has got a chapter in Singapore, we are equally poised with both Singapore as well as India startups.
Few more questions from the participants. Uh, is there demand for financial due diligence professionals in Singapore?
Yes, see, I tell you, before that, I want to address the other 2 questions so that we don't miss it on that. She said, what is the current market trend in Singapore for chartered accountant profession? I think this we already covered. I said, like, what are the areas? Like ESG, I think we have covered not once, 2 or
Right.
3 during our speech. ESG, like data, AI, we have covered. So I'm moving to how to get a Singapore. Yes, it is challenging because I think maybe in September, if I remember correctly, around like 22, 23, right? This change has come. Earlier, DP was getting jobs, so they could get that letter of consent, everything. But after that, it changed. DP cannot work. It is challenging for DPs to get a job. But what happens is there are like when their spouse, they call one pass. They have brought this one pass. There is a salary. If anyone is getting more than 30,000 Sing dollars, they get a one pass. If somebody has a one pass, then their wife can work. For that, like whichever company they get, the company will apply for an employment permit. That is the current situation. So what happens is if anyone is in a DP, they have to apply to a company. Either they work at SPAS. SPAS is there is also rules. If you have there is a company which has a larger employees, which means like if you have 10 residents like Singaporean citizens, then PRs or citizens, they get one SPAS. This is how the allotment works. So if somebody want to work, either they have to apply as an EP or in the SPAS. And it's also varies between the company on the salary structure and the position. This is on the DPs. And coming to due diligence, yes, definitely, because this is a financial hub, right? A lot of family offices, fund accounts, everything due diligence. There is a scope for financials who can do the due diligence.
There's a question related to age. Is there an age for seeking a position in Singapore?
No, there is. I think India also there's no age unless in the government sector where the retirement is 58 or 60. Now they moved up, and people like in the private sector, like people are working right. Even at the age of 55, I see in India, even the people I know have even changed jobs. So there is no restriction. So long you can work and contribute actively. Because I think recently we saw the world over premiers at 89, 75, or making Trump is 89, or our prime minister at 75. So I think there is no age limit for all these assets. No, it is not. Even here, they have increased the age limit for working.
People are becoming younger when they go to Singapore, is it?
Keeping the mind active, yeah. You know that if you keep the mind active, you can always stay younger.
One more
Right.
question. FRM course will add value to your CA degree.
Sorry?
FRM course, will it add value to CA degree?
FRM course what?
Financial risk management.
Oh, yes, definitely, because risk management compliance, that also has a scope,
Right.
right? But again, see, I always advise this to everyone. Before doing your course, first of all, you need to see the area you want to specialize. Just don't do the course because for the sake of doing the course. It depends on where you're, if you're currently employed, see what is required for your employment and what is the trajectory you want to follow. Accordingly, you have to choose the path and then decide on the course of the certification or the upskill you need.
Okay. Next question is how to collaborate as a proprietor firm, any portal or forum where we need to register in order to collaborate with Singapore, as most of the work is taken up by big fours and big firms.
You want to take Ayush?
Yeah. So, as far as I know, there is no portal where you can go and register for local firms to collaborate. The only way is keep networking, keep talking to people in Singapore, keep all practitioners informed of the services that you are offering. Plus, in terms of your personal branding, do keep on posting what all specialization activities you are doing. If you are taking any degree, keep posting that you have obtained this degree. That is the only way you can be visible in this ecosystem. There is no separate portal as of now.
All right. So, just to summarize the things and to conclude something from this, or we can say it like a takeaway. Just a quick round for the panel. That what is your golden piece of advice to any Indian CA who is dreaming of making it big in Singapore? Kalama.
Yeah. See, I tell you, what is Singapore seen is forward looking, fast moving, and is globally connected, right? While technical accounting skills are foundational, what always we need to understand what sets people apart here is the commercial acumen, cross border exposure, leadership potential, and digital and regulatory fluency. So, and what does this means for you? Level up beyond compliance. So, focus on business partnering, financial strategy, and risk management. Knowing Singapore tax, MAS rules, and ASEAN accounting standards is a big plus. Highlight your international exposure. Keep upgrading your skills, especially in areas like ERP system, financial analytics, ESG, digital transformation. Okay, and also get certified locally and network relentlessly. Your community, mentors, and visibility in professional circles can open real doors. So think like a CFO even when you're at a junior level today.
A very good takeaway from your side. Since Anuradha ma'am is also here, we would like to hear from you also, ma'am. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, I would say, we get a lot of inquiry from people from India, the chartered accountants from India who want to come up to Singapore. And I think Kala has very aptly covered the concept of keeping yourself relevant and updated, not only from an information about Singapore, but also about what are the law of the lands and the regional landscape and relevant information. At the same time, I think it's largely covered across everybody. Some of the points that Ayush covered is that when you are within your organization, try and see how you can make the difference to your organization when you are coming up to Singapore. The entry barriers, like any other country, are there in Singapore, but opportunities are also definitely a lot here. So I would say, being updated with your CPA Australia degree, as Ayush mentioned, looking up at INSEAD or other relevant degrees, or something that will have, along with your CA degree, because a lot of professionals are here. And we have a lot of C suite chartered accountants in Singapore. So opportunities are there, but look for partnership. Look how, I mean, I see a lot of Singapore Indian chartered accountants coming here and setting up their firms in partnership with the local organizations. And then they, upskill themselves and are embedded into the system of Singapore. So largely, I would say, yes, upskilling is the most important thing. Staying relevant is the most important thing.
Thank you so much, Anurag ma'am. Over to you, Ayush sir. What's your piece of
Yeah,
advice?
so most of the points have already been covered in terms of keeping yourself relevant with the skills like accounting, software, data analysis. There are different tech-driven data analytic tools available where you can specialize on those tools which can help your banking industry, financial services. So those are some things which our members can look at. They need to keep updated with the local regulations, specifically the FRS, SFRS, and the tax laws here. The third would be to network and build connections. The only way you can foster in Singapore is to have a good, robust network. We at ICI Singapore chapter are always available for any networking opportunity that one is looking for. In terms of a single piece of advice, it would be stay adaptable, focused, and driven to succeed in Singapore's finance and accounting industry. The I am reminded of a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. He says, "Believe you can,
Yes.
you are halfway there."
Yes. Believe
So
you can and you're happy.
with this, I would like to give my piece of advice is that stay positive, work in the right direction, keep fostering, keep personal branding as number one priority, and you should be soon landing in Singapore.
Short piece of advice, I would say that those who have attended this session, they are already halfway there.
Yeah, Divya, there is one last question. I think one last question message here Gunjan has shared. Is it okay to apply in Singapore post maternity break? So somebody has asked that. So what I would advise is yes, if you have taken a break, after that again start in India, gain some experience, and then start applying in Singapore. So that will also help you to connect with the industry because that break, right, again come into the industry to stay relevant. It's very important to stay relevant and be with the market as well with your profession and then apply to Singapore. And that's it. Thank you.
We have Abhay Chajek sir with us. So are you there? He's the convener of this committee. So we would like to welcome you to join here. And
Has he joined?
is
Not yet, I guess.
Not yet because I don't see him.
Yeah.
Okay. So let it be. So is there any further question or we can wrap up? Just want to know.
Yeah, but happy to have received all these questions. Like we are really happy. So
Yeah.
Anu, Ayush,
Really
all we are all
engaged and
we are
we
all
really want
happy.
to understand.
That makes us interactive also. That shows that people were listening to this session. Okay, so and that also gives us the greatest pleasure.
Right.
Pleasure is all
Just to
ours.
add, to know more about the Singapore chapter, keep following our LinkedIn page. We do have a lot of activities going on there, a lot of updates going on there. So to stay relevant with what's happening in Singapore, it is good to follow our page on
You
LinkedIn.
can
So
get
that
a
would be
speech
great.
Like,
voucher.
subscribe, follow.
Yeah, subscribe, press the
Like,
bell icon.
Like, subscribe, and follow. And maybe you will receive a gift voucher to visit Singapore something. Gift voucher.
Someday, when we have
Someday,
1,000
for sure.
members,
oh,
someday.
he's here
Oh,
finally.
so
Yeah, he's here.
the sponsor is here for the voucher.
Yes, welcome, Abai. We have been eagerly waiting for you.
Right time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So sorry, actually had another meeting.
Acha.
Thank you, Madam Anuradha. It's good to see you. So
Same
of course
here.
we've spoken once. In fact, when I was there in April, and thank you so much for joining, and thank you, Kala Madam, and of course Ayush for being there. It's truly an honor. Of course, we met. It was
Yes.
we had a very good time in interaction, and hoping to see you soon, sometime in person. And thanks, Divya.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Then it's so nice. I think I'm sure you had an excellent session, and I'm sure we have so many members, participants in Global Udan. Has always been an excellent response by the participants. So where are we? Are we still continuing with questions, or we are just winding up?
With the
Winding
questions,
up.
we were just waiting for you to address.
Okay, fine. So no, I think so. It's more like giving a vote of thanks from my side.
Mhm.
I can give a vote of thanks. You just address.
Okay.
That
So
would be
no, no.
better.
So thank
Wow,
you. Thank
988 members live now.
no, no,
Okay.
no. So no, not at all. Thank you so much. In fact,
988 members.
Wow, that's
988.
nice.
Wow.
Yes, yes, madam. So we've been getting a good response in this global Udan, and I think this is a very, I would say, a good connect and collaboration with our chapters who are there and doing so well in the world. So, and Singapore, of course, is a place where there's so much opportunity, which you've, I'm sure, would have discussed. The questions I was seeing in the group, and that lot of questions been asked, which I'm sure is addressed by the experts. So, once again, I think it's truly an honor and privilege to welcome you on this 13th webinar. And of course, this is being the closure of this sessions. But just to update members, participants who have joined, that this initiative we started in the month of March, and we have reached the 13th edition of this webinar series. And I must appreciate and acknowledge and thank Madam Anuradha for accepting our invitation, sparing your valuable time here, and of course Ayush and Madam Kala for for your insightful discussion, your experience which you have shared among the members, and Divya for excellent moderation. Been known Divya as she was chairperson of Ajmer branch earlier, and
Oh,
Madam. Yes, so she's been a chairperson of
oh, that
Ajmer branch.
she didn't say. That's wonderful. That's wonderful,
Yeah,
Divya.
because she didn't give her introduction. She gave
No,
our
that's
introduction.
nice. That's a humility. No, that's nice. That's what the CA teaches. That's very good. Happy to hear that.
Come to the
Yes.
person and then we will introduce.
Very nice.
Yes. So just to share that we have collaborated with Egypt, Kuwait, Doha chapters. We got a
Wow.
good, we did that, and then of course Singapore. We've our the leadership has been coming to Singapore. A lot of things happening with Singapore, and we have this global Udan series again is an opportunity for participants to know what's happening in globally, the opportunities overseas which are available for Indian CAs, and I'm sure it's a good time to align with the broader vision of positioning India as a hub for accounting and financial services. So, and just to share with you, Madam Anuradha, we have been doing some good initiative at the directorate with the team, Monica and Gunjan, and entire office, which we've started a certificate course on overseas outsourcing services. This is for US market, and this certificate, excellent response we have received for last 8 batches, and ninth batch started on 7th of July. So we have almost 150 plus members in each batch participating, and almost 1,000 plus members have qualified this certificate course. And we do regular hands-on training for them on specific areas like accounting services, payroll management, filing of returns, understanding the code of ethics, the communication skills, and various certain areas which are identified and relevant for them to create or reach out globally and create opportunities for themselves. So this certificate course for US, and now we've got approval to start for UK overseas outsourcing also. So very soon we'll be starting, and this would probably, I would say, another area where members may be looking at for opportunities. And Global Udan is one series, and then we organized a very important event which was first ever organized by ICI. This was the Global Capability Center Summit. It is the GCC Summit which was held on 27th and 28th of this month, the month of June. So there it was at Delhi, and we had 500 plus participants and excellent speakers. We had good uh, participants from the ecosystem partners like the Niti Aayog. We had from the Ministry of Commerce, we had Ministry of IT, we had Ministry of External Affairs, we had the Services Export Promotion Council. So all those participation was there, and it was a wonderful experience for all participants and a very good initiative which we thought that we should do this. And second, we have already planned in the month of Ahmedabad, which is 29th and 30th of August, with Gift IFSC. We are planned to do a joint event at Ahmedabad, Gandhinagar. This is again an event which is lined up, and I'm sure participants interested should certainly register, because it's a complete deliberation, discussions on opportunities, creating your own global capability centers, and how we can have global presence, how we can reach out globally, connect people, do knowledge sharing, capacity building, skill development, all those opportunities are available under one roof. So these are certain initiatives which we have planned, and then a couple of more are in process. But certainly, Madam Anuradha, it's so nice to have you here today. In fact, I missed the opportunity of meeting you when I was there, but certainly waiting to see you in person. And of course, Ayush and Kala, Madam, it's truly an honor and privilege for you to spare time for all the participants and to have all of you here. And again, thanks to Divya for moderating this excellent session with all the three eminent personalities which we have today. So thank you so much, and it was truly an honor and privilege. Sorry for being late. Of course, just couldn't be there because of certain meeting which just got extended by some time, but still managed to be there before 5. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhay.
Thank you
And I
so
think
much, Abhijit. This is really humbling, and definitely we have to catch up. And specifically, Ayush and I did speak about our projects. So first and foremost, when are you launching the outsourcing, course for Singapore? Because I'm sure our members from India also will be very keen to find out that opportunity. So we will be humbled to have that also.
Surely.
And secondly, what I really wanted to talk to you about was, the next leap. The Ayush updated about.
sorry to interrupt. Like, I have to go for another meeting, so I have to exit. I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye.
Kala.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you.
Bye. Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Abhijit,
Bye.
I will. I wanted to talk to you about the next leap that we are doing. It's an accelerator program where we are partnering with Beyond Seed. And in that program, actually, the CA chapter is more of the knowledge partner over there, where we are, giving an opportunity. We are celebrating 60 years of India-Singapore diplomatic relationship, and we are looking at startups from India and Singapore to join. We will share more details about that with you definitely in person, but we are looking at India to join hands, ICI India and your offices to join hands with us to make this a grand success.
Surely, we'll certainly discuss on this, and would certainly be like to be part of it.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for giving us this opportunity. We loved having, and definitely Divya is an humble soul, and then she's really moderated the session and brought out the best from all the speakers, I guess.
Great,
Thank you so
great.
much.
Nice to know. Thank you.
It's a fantastic journey. We would say that within 2 hours, we have actually explored what all we can do in Singapore. Just sitting here and exploring that what kind of area we want to enter, how we can get the visa, whether we want to go into employment or practice, or what skill sets we require. So all that thing was so clearly and in detail it was mentioned by all the panelists here. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, and thank you, committee, for giving me the opportunity. Abhay sir, thank you so much for making me the moderator of this session and making me the pilot of this global Udan, at least for Singapore. My pleasure. Altogether my pleasure. So thank you so much, and the lovely audience for all your questions. Hope we could answer most of them. And just as the panelists have already mentioned, that stay connected with the website which they already have. So you can clearly check out there. And now we already have connections in Singapore already. So it's time for us to showcase our global presence. And let's start with the Singapore then. Bye. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Great.
so
Thank you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you.
Thank
Thank you,
See
madam.
you.
Thank you, Anuradha. Thank you. Thank you, Ayush.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye. Bye,
Bye.
Divya.